The Skagit River is one of Washington's most cherished rivers, providing 1/3 of the fresh water flowing into the Puget Sound. The iconic river provides critical habitat for 5 species of endangered salmon, including Chinook salmon, which are critical food for endangered orca whales. Right now, an area of unprotected public land in British Columbia is in grave danger of being mined by a company with one of the worst environmental records in Canada, Imperial Metals. This company was involved with one of the biggest environmental disasters in Canadian history in 2014, where 2.6 billion gallons of toxic sludge spilled into Quesnel Lake and Fraser River. Washington Wild has already coordinated an international coalition opposing clear-cut logging in the headwaters of the Skagit River. Due to the opposition they received, the British Columbia government halted clear-cut future logging plans in the Skagit headwaters. However, we still need to continue to put pressure on the British Columbia government to halt Imperial Metals' proposed mining permit. Make your voice heard by taking action at the link below. Washington Wild has coordinated a coalition of more than 140 conservation, recreation, and wildlife organizations, along with tribes, First Nations, elected officials, and local businesses, in opposing the proposed mining in Canadian headwaters of the Skagit River. We are still awaiting a decision on the Imperial Metals mining permit, so the fight continues to stop this mining threat. The unprotected land located between Skagit Provincial Park and Manning Provincial Park, known as the Donut Hole, is about the size of Manhattan, more than 14,000 acres of gorgeous mountains, rivers, streams, and forests, surrounded by the park but completely unprotected. The area of the Donut Hole has been highlighted since 1984 in the High Ross Treaty between the City of Seattle and the British Columbia government, which prompted the creation of the Skagit Environmental Endowment Commission. The mission of the SEEC is to conserve and protect wilderness and wildlife habitat, to enhance recreational opportunities in the Skagit, and to acquire mineral or timber rights consistent with conservation and recreational objectives. Imperial Metals' proposed mining permit would violate the 1984 treaty. The Skagit River is vast as it begins north of the U.S.-Canadian border and flows through North Cascades National Park in Washington state. If we allow mining in the headwaters, there is the threat of polluting the waters, which would flow down through Washington state and devastate the Skagit system. Not only would this affect wildlife, but also affect tribal and First Nation lifeways, as the headwaters are unceded Indigenous lands. The proposed mining in the Skagit headwaters poses a devastating threat to Indigenous rights, as well as a threat to wildlife, fish, and natural and cultural resources, which Indigenous communities rely on. The Skagit River is often called the last best hope for salmon recovery in the Puget Sound. For Pacific Northwest tribes like the Swinomish tribe, salmon are crucial to their culture, way of life, and spiritual existence. If the salmon are affected by mining pollution, so are the tribes. Public pressure does work. We have seen this with our victory in halting clear-cutting, which will now prevent the water quality from worsening in the Skagit. If this wasn't stopped, the clear-cut logging would have loosened the sediment, which would have flown down into the river, causing an increase in water temperatures and would have affected the river's wildlife. Public pressure is a huge piece in the opposition campaign with Imperial Metals. Elected officials on our side of the border are in support of getting mining companies out of there. We just need to convince the British Columbia government. Take action now and join thousands who have already opposed the mining permit by going to the Washington Wild website, clicking on Take Action, and scroll down to Action Alerts. And scroll until you see Take Action, Deny Mining Permit in Headwaters of the Skagit River. Fill out a form to deliver a letter to British Columbia Premier John Horgan to deny the mining permit in the headwaters of the Skagit River. Together, we can help save the Skagit River.